Hey folks, welcome back to another video. So Reloop asked me last week if I want to review the Keypad Pro, and I said, well, I'm actually not a hardware review channel. I'm not Loopop. I don't have 50 cameras to film this thing like an ad. And I said, well, you're actually a Bitwig channel, and this one has a nice Bitwig integration. I said, that's great, please send it over. And guess what? That's exactly what they did. They sent it over. So this is how it looks like, and that's basically the story for the intro. So this is the Keypad Pro door controller. It's a cheap one, so it's not expensive, but it's not a bad thing. You know, in the club, everything can happen in the club, right? Beer flowing around, smoke, dust, moist. People are exploding into emotions or whatever happens there sometimes. So what I want to say is these controllers can get hurt, and you don't want to have a controller in the club that is $2 or $2K or whatever expensive these controllers are. So yeah, that's not a bad thing, and it's also not so cheap that it feels like it's, you know, breaking apart from itself. It works. So everything is on there that you want in such a controller. So we have keys here. These are, by the way, velocity sensitive, which is nice. They're also very small, which is okay for me if I want to use it on a small desk like my Linux desk there. There are some controls here, some finger drumming pads. We have some sliders, knobs, door controls, modulation, pitch band. On the right side here, there is a foot controller you can attach, and also here a MIDI out if you want to connect some synthesizers. And on the back here, there's a main USB input, and also here a small little USB hub, so you can attach additional devices. We have an on switch, off, battery powered, or USB powered, battery powered. Yeah, you can attach here some batteries down here. So you can use this without USB. If you just want to power, or if you want to control some analog synthesizers without USB, you can do this. So yeah, that's basically the controller from the outside. And I also just noticed this camera, it looks like it films my crutch, which is not the case. It just is on the device itself, just to make this clear. So on Thomann here, you can see it's currently $209 in Europe. I don't know how expensive this is in America, probably $2 million or whatever the current tariff is there. I have no idea. So it's currently on sale. And down here, there was some kind of review by a Swedish guy, and he likes it. I have no idea who this guy is, but he likes it, okay? And he also likes the Bitwig integration here, which is exactly what we want to test today. I also can see here I have also an affiliate link. Maybe I put this in the description. I never used actually this because I don't do hardware reviews. I put this in the description. Maybe this makes me rich. I have no idea. So in Bitwig, what we need to do, first I want to show you also here the device itself. What we want to do in Bitwig is, of course, go to the controllers page here, and we want to connect here this first with the USB cable, which is not prepared at all. Okay. And then switch this on. Okay, light show, nice. And it shows me here already the Keypad Pro, and input and output is already connected. If this is not showing up for you, you have to add the controller here manually down there. Go to Reloop and then select your Keypad Pro, and then you can add it, right? But usually it's just recognized by Bitwig itself, usually. And sometimes if something doesn't work in Bitwig with the MIDI controllers, make sure you just switch it off and you switch it on again. It's not a joke. It's not a IT crowd joke. It works. Trust me. At least on Windows, it really works. Okay, so let's try out here the master fader. Nice, this works. First track fader also works. And we probably don't need an audio channel here, we only need this one. Okay, so this looks like it works, and we want to also actually here just make sure It's sharp enough. Okay. Let's add here some kind of synthesizer. Polymer. It would be nice to have this kind of controller with the keyboard here. I mean, with a real keyboard included in this, so we have everything in just one one device. Okay, so we can arm this track here, so we can play it. And like I said, this is velocity sensitive. You can amplify this by using here the slider. Maybe use saw unison and use the velocity here for the modulation amount. And maybe make this longer. Nice. If you don't like the velocity sensitivity on this keyboard here, you can just switch this off with this button here, velocity. When this is off, all the key presses here are basically maximum velocity, which is probably nice for drums or something alike. By default, this is on. Also, you can see anytime I change something here with the settings like this, you can see the reset button here is enabled, which means I can press this reset button and it brings the state of this device into its default state. So it's basically a polarity panic button. So I have no idea what's happening, just press reset and you're back to your default state, which is really nice to have. We also have here some kind of additional features like an arpeggiator we can activate. So we can hold down multiple notes here. And then it just plays some kind of sequence. And then we have here some kind of hold features. We can release our keys and it just keeps playing. So there's a hold feature here. If I switch this off, it just stops. Which is also sometimes nice for drones. But when you press multiple keys, it gets very hard to press this. Maybe another try. Maybe change the speed here to 16 notes. So it kind of works. Reset and reset. Nice. Okay, so that's the ARP. So we can change here also the ARP speed with the keyboard. You have here some additional features on top. We have also scales. So we can choose here between major, minor, pentatonic, and blues. We hold down Shift, and then we press here major or let's say minor. You can also see this here on the display. And then what we play here is basically the major scale, C major. What's this major? I actually use minor here. So this is the C minor scale. So you can see I'm pressing here a C sharp, but it's still playing C. If I switch this off, it's C sharp, but with the scaling here, it's transposing basically automatically all the notes into the right position for the scale. So this is also included if you want to use this. So ARP, scalar feature, also velocity, and we have here some octave switches, which I use all the time with these kind of small keyboards. So maybe add here another track. Let's use here my lush kind of pad sound. So at the moment here, the pads are in this kind of MIDI trigger mode, so we can just play this like we play the keyboard down here. So So these pads are basically just representing the notes. But we can also just say we want to use these pads as a clip launcher. So now you can see we can record here. These two are red because this is armed. When we arm here basically the first track, we can record this channel, or we want to record here just the pads. So I hit record, but I also want to enable here the metronome. So let's record this. Just playing some notes from the scale. Octave up. Octave down. Maybe a bass. Octave up. And then we want to stop the recording. And it just keeps playing what we just recorded. Can I actually switch back here to the beginning? Probably not. So with this we can easily record things here, and inside of this note clip you can see all the notes are all over the place. But we have here the record quantization on inside of Bitwig. But if you don't use this, let's switch it off here for a moment and record something different. Let's record here the first track. Let's record this with the metronome, of course. And here it's all over the place. But we can just quantize this by using here, let's say Shift and then quantize. You can see it's on the screen, all the notes then in the right place. But if you don't want to use this feature, you can obviously just always here use record quantization in Bitwig and say always quantize to 8 notes or 16 notes or whatever. I use this all the time because it's, you know, it's just helpful. But you can also do it on the controller itself here with the quantize option. Maybe use a different wavetable here. A bit basic. We need just some kind of reverb. Let's use the supermassive. So what I also found out here with this controller is usually you can see here on the track itself, when I use here these top buttons, this is usually panning, and this is send 1 and send 2, and I don't use send and panning all the time, and it's also not something I want to access on a controller all the time. I just dial it in once and that's basically it. So here I can change basically the panning. But what I do sometimes is I just here say map controller or key, and then I just use this. And now you can see I'm now moving here this cutoff frequency, and this is detached, so it's not changing the panning anymore. So we can replace or remap this very quickly. You just use here the mapping and map it to something else, and then the old functionality is basically removed. And now we can change here this, or maybe I want to use here this for the index. Maybe let's do this here on. So by default, this is basically panning and send 1, send 2, but if you map it, then you can map it to something else, which is pretty cool. I also found that using the clip launcher here is cool, but let's say you want to make some drums with this, right? You have to use this kind of finger drumming mode here, but you also want to record or change the clip launcher, right? So we press record here, then you switch quickly back to this mode, drum your stuff, and then you have to stop, switch back, and you have to hit the stop button. So you have to be pretty fast to switch between the modes and then hit the right clip button or clip note clip in here, right? So this is a bit yeah, not so easy to do in my opinion, but for this maybe you can use the foot controller, so you can use your foot basically to start and stop the recording. That's probably better. So that's not a problem of the device itself. It's something it's a problem I have with most controllers. Maybe they can add here a button for stopping the clip recording outside of this, right? So you can say clip launcher, record, back, drum your stuff, and then you hit a different button here to just stop the recording. It's not very easy. Maybe I can try this out here. Drum machine. Maybe I use here house kit, breaks kit. I have no idea what kind of kit I want here. E-drums kit. Let's try this one. So right, I want to record this. Let's hit OK. Yeah? I want to record this, so what I have to do is now I have to switch to clip launcher. Right, the clip is already recording, so I can't basically record in place, which is a small problem for me always with all kinds of controllers. So we can delete this here. So maybe I have to hit stop here, this on clip launcher, arm this, then I have some preparation time. Right, now I have to switch back and I have this, and then this, it doesn't work. But it's not a problem of this controller, it's a problem I always have with different controllers, it's the same thing. And now you basically have to go back here to the clip and you have to change the sizing so it matches basically what you did there. Length, let's go to 4. Yeah, it's kind of fun to play around with this, to be honest. Let's hit stop here. But you have to kind of practice this because I'm so in my flow with the keyboard and with the mouse. Like I said, I'm really not a hardware guy, so you have to really focus on this device and remap your muscle memory so you don't use the keyboard and you use this. But like I said, if you use this maybe in a train where you don't have the place for the mouse and you have a laptop and you just want to quickly record this, you can really find the flow with this device. And like I said, it's also not very expensive. So I want to try this out over the weekend on my Linux PC. I'm using Mint there, and maybe I can give you an update on this, how it works under Linux. but for Windows it kind of works flawlessly in my opinion. There are also some features here for the pads. You can switch this into some kind of different mode here. I haven't explored actually everything. Just showed you the basics. There are some more features to this with the Bitwig integration. There's, like I said here, some kind of scale feature for this for these pads. So you can say I want to play all the chromatic keys on here, but here give me maybe D sharp minor. Then this is the root note. This is the second, the third, and so on. So scale mode just for the pads. This also kind of works. It's a nice package in my opinion. For $200, it's nothing, you know, you could be mad about. I want to show you this because I think it's you know, I'm a Bitwig channel, like I said. I'm not getting paid for this to do this video. I have to send this back to Reloop next week probably. But it's a fun one, fun controller. So I want to give you a nice review, a nice overview over this. Maybe give me feedback if how did it? What, you know, are you informed? Do you like the device? I don't know. Let me know, okay? So this is the Keypad Pro. Thanks for watching the video. Like the video. Maybe buy one of these devices. I have no idea. That's it. Bye.